Coming up on this edition of Speed Chronicles, it is a full speed weekend.
Zig Media presents Speed Chronicles with Todd Lewis, powered by Rev TV.
Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for checking out this week's edition of Speed Chronicles. Get it on your favorite podcast platform. Get it on the Rev TV YouTube channel. Please like and subscribe. We do it every Wednesday, talking about motorsports, not really super results-oriented and lap-by-lap races, but bigger issues, questions, comments, ideas, thoughts. Feel free to share them on our social channels as well. We're on all the major platforms. Okay, let's go back and look in the rearview mirror just a little bit at the Formula One Japanese Grand Prix. How good is Max Verstappen? I mean, just think about it for a minute. How good is Max Verstappen? The Red Bull is not the best car this year. Not the best car. McLaren has clearly shown that they have the best car right now. They have two very good drivers, and they finished second and third. So let's see. They got very good drivers. They finished second and third, but Max Verstappen was the winner. Yes, you can point to the qualifying and the extraordinary qualifying lap that Max Verstappen put in, getting out front. Japanese circuit that is very difficult to pass on, makes it a troublesome thing if you're not starting on the front row in the pole position. But it's more than that. He managed the race. The cars were better during the race for the McLaren's. Piastri was better than Lando Norris, but it wasn't going to happen. The big surprise was Max taking the pole almost out of nowhere, although if you were watching the Sky Sports broadcast, as I was, Jacques Villeneuve pretty much telegraphed it at the start of qualifying. He said, this is where Max kind of builds through the weekend and then snatches a lap out at the last minute and surprises you. And that's exactly what he did. Also, I really enjoyed JV's commentary on the race. I don't know if it would be if it's good that he do every race, but I did like him spiced in at this one. It was it provided something unique and different. It was a refreshing change, is how I might put it. Some will suggest in his commentary roles that he is too critical. I don't think he's too critical. I think he's more forthright and honest than many commentators are. And I think that, as much as anything, is what catches people out and causes them to shock a little bit when he says something that can be blunt or provocative. He doesn't feel that he needs to tread lightly. I talked to him about this. It was probably a couple of years ago now when he was doing some commentary. And and I said at the time, like, you are kind of shocking people. He said, I just prefer to be honest. Let's be straightforward. It's not a personal attack necessarily on any of these drivers, but if they make a mistake, he will say that they made a mistake. If they do something wrong, he'll say that they did something wrong. And it's kind of a refreshing change for this kind of commentary, be it in motorsports or just about anything else as well. Again, not a personal attack. It's just this was a mistake. And one of the areas that he talked about during the race was, why didn't the McLaren's split the strategy? And it's a very good question. They're the best car. They have two very good drivers. They finished on the podium, second and third. But at some point, don't you want to win the race? And it seemed demonstrated to me that they were not going to be able to catch and pass Max Verstappen if they just simply all followed the same strategy, which they ended up doing. So why wouldn't you split the strategy and try something else? It sure appeared as though, worst case scenario, even if you split strategies and neither one of them plays out to get you in front of Max Verstappen and take over the lead, you're still going to finish second and third in the race as a team. You might flip-flop, be it Piastri and Norris second or third, but you're still going to get those big points that you want in terms of the Constructors Championship. So try something different. This is often done with team cars, as you will see, strategy splits in a variety of form of racing series. Piastri seemed quicker in the later going. It might have worked. They didn't try it. So anyhow, it's something to consider moving forward. I get that you want to bank maximum points, especially this early in the season. You can really take advantage and pile up the points in that Constructors Championship. Everybody talks about the Drivers' Championship, but again, it is the Constructors Championship that is the basis for the money payout for Formula One. And that's the big one that the teams need and want. So I would have split strategy there, try something different. Didn't play out. We'll see if it happens at the next event or as we go further into the season. Yuki Tsunoda made the switch. He and Liam Lawson, they changed seats. Yuki Tsunoda finished all the laps, finished 12th. Okay, didn't get any points, but at least that car finished all the laps. Let's see what happens in the next couple of weeks. Yes, there was very boastful talk by Yuki Tsunoda prior to Japan. Didn't necessarily play out. Liam Lawson also finished, didn't finish very well, finished 17th, but they qualified right beside each other, which was particularly hilarious to see the starting grid. By the way, Isaac Hadjar, also in the Racing Bull, 8th place finish, scored points. That's someone who has certainly put the disastrous season opener behind him. Good for him. Let's see how the championship plays out over the next couple of weeks. They go back to back to back, starting with Japan last week and Bahrain coming up this week. It's going to be an interesting look at the championship. It'll be a snapshot. And you know what? We'll be 20% through the championship because we'll have 5 races done in pretty short order. So I think there will be a lot to look at and feed on once we get through the stretch now in April. The other thing that was weird, grass fires. Yeah, it was weird, but so dry that the sparks from underneath the car were being blown in the wind onto the sides of the racetrack, and there were little grass fires that kept slowing down the progress through the weekend because they had to stop the sessions and put the fires out before they could put the cars back on. All right, the other event, of course, this past weekend was NASCAR and Xfinity back on track after their schmozzle the week before, we'll call it, at Martinsville. Debacle is another word. Crap show was one that I used last week, and I think is still pretty appropriate. Apparently, though, they had a big talking to prior to the race during the drivers' meeting. NASCAR came in and said, hey, you can't do that. If you do that, we're going to bring down. We don't want to do that. We don't want to be the people that police this, but we will. We have to. Pretty hollow threat, if you ask me. Big deal. You came in a week later after taking a beating from all corners about what a terrible and awful race that turned into. And you come in a week later and say, well, don't do it again, or we might get mad. Yeah, we did find a driver 3 days later and dock him some points. This is a hollow threat until you actually carry out the punishment. And you can't do it 3 days later by fining someone. You have to do it at the time at the track. Till you actually do something, nobody's going to care. Nobody's going to pay attention. Oh, yeah, a lot of tongue lashings, a lot of finger waving, a lot of threats. But until you follow through and actually DQ someone or or put him to the back or whatever punishment, take a win away from a driver that bumps another out of the way, nothing's going to change. In the Cup race, Denny Hamlin, 2nd win in a row. What a fluke. Can't believe it. Late race, caution, goes into overtime, 4 fresh tires, holds him off for 2 laps, gets a win. That's a lot of good fortune there. Something occurs to me as I was watching racing this weekend, and we saw it because of NASCAR Darlington. There's a lot of action sometimes when there is a big drop off in the tires. It forces different strategies. I understand NASCAR and IndyCar and Formula One and other sanctioning bodies trying to do things by having degrading tires and dramatic drop off. Maybe there's something we need to look at further. I know there's big calls for more horsepower. Maybe this is an easier solution that we can get into, finding ways to bring in different strategies, put more control in the driver's hands. If you preserve your tires and extend your pit window, make one fewer stop, maybe there's something there. Something else to look at. Let's always keep looking at ways to improve the racing is the most important thing. As I mentioned off the top, full speed this weekend, lots of action, loving this. Formula One keeps it going. As I mentioned, they head to Bahrain. Will McLaren continue to pile up the points? Is that their strategy in the early going? We've got the best car. We've got 2 really good drivers. Let's get maximum points each weekend, really start to build that championship lead early on before anyone has a chance to bring in significant improvements and try to close that gap down. Red Bull's only got 1 team scoring points right now, and that's Max Verstappen. Verstappen. Ferrari had troubles early on. That set them on the back foot. We've got a chance to really build a lead, and that's something that McLaren was probably going to do. IndyCar is at Long Beach, a historic event for IndyCar. Great event. Can Alex Palou make it 3 in a row? And again, he's 2 wins already. Another one would certainly give him a big boost in terms of the overall championship. The setting is great at Long Beach. It's just, the water's nearby, the beach is nearby. It's a fantastic California vibe and feel. Great, salt air. Just it's a fun atmosphere to be a part of. I will tell you though, if you have never been there and if you've never worked there, as I have a few times. I'm not this year, but if you've ever worked there and had to work in pit lane, you know that it is absolutely one of the worst pit lanes that you will ever work on. It is so tight. It is so narrow, so difficult to get around anywhere. There's very little parking in the vicinity. But in spite of these obstacles, again, it's a great setting. There's some good racing. There are passing areas. You don't have to have a great passing area at every corner, but you got the long straightaways, you got high speed, you got the hairpin. It makes for action. It's a great event. Great history. They celebrate the history, and it's seen some great racing as well. Everybody's got their fingers crossed that Fox will be able to show the entire race and won't have another power outage. Yeah, I know. We're still going to talk about it for a while. It's until they get it in the rearview mirror. IMSA is also part of this weekend's event at Long Beach as well. Super excited to see this race. It's a short sprint race. They have a few of those on the schedule. It is the first race of the season for Robert Wickens in his new Chevrolet, equipped with the hand braking system, hand controls on the steering column. And I'm really anxious to see how well Robert Wickens and his teammate Tommy Milner do in their Corvette. This is a continuation of Robert's inspirational story that has been so wonderful to see and watch after that horrific crash at Pocono, the years of recovery, getting back into a car, first with a test with Brian Herta and racing in Michelin Pilot and TCR and winning races, winning a championship, and now taking the next step to run a partial season in the IMSA WeatherTech Championship. Everybody is rooting for him, wishing him well, and just can't wait to see what he does next. And he's super excited, and he sees it as, well, this is just the first step and just another step. I've got a partial season this year. I want to do a full season and compete for race wins and compete for championships. What a true racer. Never stops being satisfied. NASCAR is at Bristol. Highly anticipated every time they go to Bristol. It's not the same big event that the second race of the year is. I still miss it being in August, but it's shuffled later in the schedule now. But they'll still get, half full grandstands, or even if they're not quite half full, you'll still have 50,000 people there. It doesn't look very good, but you'll still have a big crowd there because they are so overbuilt in terms of grandstands. Well, I don't know if that's going to change anytime soon, that they'll take some out, but it looks so sparse. But even if you have 40 or 50,000 people there, because that's not even half capacity at Bristol. And hey, hopefully we see some great action. Looking forward to a busy weekend of racing and motorsports. Again, follow and like on your favorite podcast platform, and follow on the Rev TV YouTube channel as well. Another edition of Speed Chronicles coming your way next week.